Hey boys and girls, welcome to Shared Reading with Miss Johnson. I have another great story for you, and the stories that I will be reading this week are all good stories that I like to read at the beginning of every school year. Today's story, yesterday we read about a teacher who had the first day jitters. Do you remember listening to that story on the first day of school? Today we're going to read a story about a little girl that has a very special name. And boys and girls, all of you have names as well. Your name is usually different than other people. Sometimes you may have the same name as somebody in your class. But today we're going to read a story about a little girl who wasn't too fond of her name at first. She didn't quite like the name that her parents had given her to begin with. But later you're going to see what happens, okay? All right, this story is called A Big Word. Are you ready? This story is called Chrysanthemum. Can you say that with me? Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is the name of this story, and it was written by Kevin Hincks. Okay, the author of our story is Kevin Hincks. Now, it doesn't tell us who the author is, so I'm thinking that Kevin may have wrote this story and also drew the pictures. That's what I'm thinking, okay? All right, Chrysanthemums, I can't wait for you to hear this story. It's really, really neat. Let me get my pages turned. Okay. Let me make sure that my camera is showing you the pictures. Very good. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. And I'm sure that all of your mom and dads thought that about you when you were born as well. Her name must be everything that she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Oh, what if you had to spell that name? What if you had to write that on your paper every time? Let's see. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect, and then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. "Hooray!" said Chrysanthemum. "School!" So Chrysanthemum was a little bit different than Miss Hartwell in our story yesterday, wasn't she? She's excited to go to school, and Miss Hartwell did not want to go to school. Do you remember that? But when Miss Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. Oh, that's not filling somebody's bucket, is it? Laughing at their name. "It's so long," said Joe. "It scarcely fits on your name tag," said Rita, pointing at her name tag. I'm named after my grandma, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum whittled. That means she got really sad. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. Nobody should feel that way. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Miss Chud that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Miss Chud. Now put your head down. Not being bucket fillers. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Oh, if Victoria was in Miss Johnson's class, Miss Johnson would not be happy with her. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, psh, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything that you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup. Oh! And an evening filled with hugs and kisses. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant name. There she is eating dinner and sleeping and dreaming about a new name. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. Maybe some of you have done this in the sand at the beach before. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. I have a feeling this day is not going to go good either. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Miss Chud. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. All these friends, they are not being bucket fillers. They are not going to get bucket filler of the month for their class, are they? That makes my heart sad. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even looked like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, psh, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced. Oh, those are some big words, aren't they? Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. That makes me hungry. And another evening filled with hugs and kisses and cheese. Almost there, boys and girls. Stick with me. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Maybe you've had a nightmare before. It makes you wake up and it makes you really sad. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charm. Chrysanthemum took the largest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 all the flowers seemed to say. She's trying to stall and not go to school, isn't she? That morning, the students were introduced to Miss Twinkle, the music teacher. We have a music teacher at Lisenby, don't we? Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Miss Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Can you see Miss Twinkle there with her students singing? Miss Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking that it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. Here we go again. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What's so humorous?" asked Miss Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Jo. "It scarcely fits on her name tag." That means it barely can fit on there because it's so long, said Rita, pointing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." That makes me so sad. But there's about to be a happy ending. Are you ready? "My name is long," said Miss Twinkle. "It is?" said Jo. "My name would scarcely fit on a name tag," said Miss Twinkle. "It would?" said Rita, pointing. "And said Miss Twinkle, "I'm named after a flower too." "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Miss Twinkle. "My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as her name. I think it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Oh, Miss Twinkle made her feel so much better. And I think the girls realized that it doesn't matter what your name is. All names are pretty and unique. Unique means different. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Jo, and marigold is a kind of flower. "I'm Carnation," said Rita, pointing. Carnation is also a flower. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria, which is also a name of a flower. So what are all these characters wanting to do? They all want a flower name, don't they? Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Aw, she went home much happier that day, didn't she? The end. Boys and girls, I love that story. That story shows us that each and every one of us, whether it's our name or the way that we look, we're all different than each other. But that is what makes us special. Okay? I love the main character in the story, which was Chrysanthemum. Okay, and I hope that you all enjoyed our story for today as well. Have a fantastic afternoon, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye, friends.